Okay, welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 55. We have Yi Jun here today, right? You are a new triathlete, but you're very good, and you are have risen up the ranks pretty fast. Just talking to you before, I'm quite surprised how quickly you've done this, but why don't you just tell us about where you're from and where you've been?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you for having me on this podcast. And yeah, so I started around 1.5 years ago for triathlon. I started as a swimmer. Yeah. So as a kid, I grew up my whole life in China until I was 18, and I came here just before NS in 2021.
But you're Singaporean, right? You're born in Singapore.
Correct. Yeah. So I was born in Singapore, Singaporean. So yeah, when I was a kid in school, I started swimming. I started swimming around 12.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started swimming around 12. I did competitive swimming.
Yeah.
Competed around the regional like high schools and international schools.
So in China. So whereabouts in China were you?
So I lived in Suzhou, the city called Suzhou. Yep.
So it was just like all the international schools around the area, you'd compete against each other, and swimming was your sport, right?
Yeah. So not just Suzhou, but Shanghai, Nanjing, like all the cities around. Sometimes even like overseas. So yeah, and so I started triathlon because, well, actually, I'll talk about running first. So I started running when I went to NS.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because when I went to BMT, or actually even before BMT, we had to do an IPBT.
So you were living in China,
yeah.
But then your NS data comes, you've got to come back to Singapore to serve, right?
Correct.
So you just moved back and you've been living back in Singapore ever since?
Yes. I've been living in Singapore ever since.
Okay.
So, yeah. So when I came back, I came back around 3 months before my NS.
Yeah.
So before NS, we have to do this pre-enlistee IPBT.
Yep.
So that's before BMT. So I did it, and 2.4 is one of the events. So obviously I had to run, and I think I did pretty well for my first time. I think I did around 8:30 around there. Yeah.
So what would you run that these days?
Now it's about 7:20.
Okay.
I'd say. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So I went to NS, went to BMT. I did even more running in BMT.
Yeah.
After BMT, I went to OCS and did even more running in OCS.
Okay.
So
is this during part of NS itself, or did you, like, at the end of the day, you'd go out running as well?
when it just started, it was part of NS.
Yeah.
Because we had to do it. In BMT, we had to do 3 IPVTs.
Yeah.
In OCS, we had to do a couple as well.
Okay.
So at first, it started with as a mandatory thing.
Yeah.
But after a while, because in NS, there's not much other activities to do.
Yeah.
And personally, I kind of like staying active anyways. So running was the easiest activity to do. So
Okay.
that was just something I did. Yeah, so that's how I got into running.
So then you just go faster and faster and faster while you're 18 months or whatever it is.
Yeah, so after a while, I started actually enjoying it more and more. At first, I didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
After a while, I did. So after I enjoyed it more, I did like go and search up like how to train for running, because at first I kind of had no clue how to train for running. So I went to search, and then I just kind of designed my own training plan.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it kind of started.
So then, when did you? So you finished. If you came back in 2021, right? So after COVID, you came back to Singapore, NS for the next year and a half, 2 years, right? So 2022, 2023, you're finishing up.
Yes. So I finished in 23. Yeah.
Okay. So then, what was your first triathlon? I guess you're sooner before that, you're a runner, and then did you do the medicine series like duathlon or aquathlon or straight into triathlon?
Yeah, I went straight to triathlon. My first was 2023 meta sprint.
So did you have a bike already, or what were you thinking going straight to triathlon? Did you train the bike at all, or not?
No, actually, I didn't train a bike at all but I did have a bike. Actually, like before that, I actually used my NS Pay to buy a specialized. I think my first was a specialized Addy Sprint, like an old one.
Aluminum one.
Yeah, so I got it on Carousel.
Nice.
So I got that.
That's a really good bike, actually.
It is. It's really good. But actually, I got it. I didn't really know much about bikes back then, so I got it because it was a really nice colorway. It was.
That's a good thing to. You know, I used to make fun of people like that, but if you like the color, you'll probably use the bike more.
Right.
And if you use the bike more, you're gonna get better. And if you get, that's the whole point of riding a bike, right? Is to get better, right? So.
Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed riding it. I thought it was really fun, really cool.
Yep.
So yeah, I did. One day I just saw the Metasprint advertisement pop up on my Instagram.
Yep.
So signed up, decided to give it a try, and then I think I came 5th overall.
Overall, like
Yeah, overall.
everything you want, not just in your age group, in the whole
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
race. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess that's how it started. I really enjoyed it. The whole, I guess the whole race experience, not just the triathlon, but just the whole environment and the whole vibe was like really
Yeah,
good.
it is.
I didn't really know anyone back then, so
Yeah.
I was I kind of I was just there for the race, but ended up like I actually met a few people. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. That's also how I got to meet Tribal Ihan from Tribal.
Okay. So that's it.
So yeah, so I guess that whole Metasprint event kickstarted.
Yeah, opened a lot of doors for you. So
Yeah.
So to come 5th, what did you excel at? Did you like, was your swimming so good and you came out of the water first, or did you just run past everyone at the end? Well, how did you? What was the strategy during the race?
Yeah, so actually for my first race, because I did age group
Yeah.
for Metasprint. So for age group, like you don't really go it's not a mass start, so you kind of go one by one. So I guess it was kind of difficult for me to gauge where my level is at, because it's not like we're going together and I'm like overtaking you or anything.
That's true.
So yeah, but I would say my first triathlon, the swim was actually quite a shock, because I've never done open water swim, and open water swim is very different to
Then you got
swim.
currents and you got waves and you
Right.
got turns.
Yeah, correct. And the thing about Metasprint is like it's a 2-lap swim course, so you
Yeah,
actually
you-
come up,
you
you run
run.
around the beach.
Yeah.
So that whole experience was quite new to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but it was difficult and it was new. Yeah, I would say the best part, or I guess my strength, was the run. Yeah, so I do remember overtaking quite a few on the run. Yeah, and the swim I do remember overtaking a few as well. Yeah.
So then, what you didn't look back from there, you got the bug, right? You thought this is my sport, and ever since then you've gone to you've done Asia Cups, you've done Net Champs, you've done a whole bunch of things, right?
Yep. So the Net Champs is my second race actually after the Metasprint. Yeah. So I did that. That was my first.
And you got a silver in the Net
did.
Champs, right?
I did.
So
I
is that
came
like in the
second, yeah.
U23 or is it in overall?
No. So that was overall. So Net Champs, there's no like age group.
Okay.
Right? So everyone goes together as elite wave.
Oh, you must have. I don't think you piss people off, but like there's some people that have been training for 5 years. They get there, and your second race, you just sort of come in second, right?
Yeah. But I think I guess in a way I also had some like beginner's luck as well. I guess that race went surprisingly well for me.
Yeah.
And I did prepare a bit. I did train a bit more than a minute sprint for that.
Okay.
So
I
yeah.
hope so.
Yeah.
And then, so that was, I guess, August or something of 2023 by this stage, right?
Yep.
So the next, when you realize, oh shit, I'm silver at the next chance, I'm pretty good at this. Did you just buckle down and just train as hard as you? What was the process that went through your head from there?
Yeah, so I guess the process, what I was thinking back then was, so like you said, I did quite well, surprisingly well. And again, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of knew this is something I really want to put my time and put more effort into and try to see where I can go with this. So from then on, I just really stuck with triathlon.
Yep.
Back then I was still in NS though, so I actually,
you were, okay.
I actually ORD'd in August. So
Okay.
actually, back then I was still in NS, so I didn't really have that much time to train. And then after that, I went straight to uni. So again, I had to balance school. So it was a bit difficult, but I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like if you really enjoy something, you'll always find time to do it.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. And then fast forward a year. What other events did you do after the Net Champs?
Yeah, so my first WT race, World Triathlon race, was Asia Cup Kota Kinabalu.
So if you came in second in the Net Champs, suddenly the Triathlon Association pricked up their ears and they realized, they got to pay more attention to you, right? So did they invite you to these sort of WTO races and Asia Cups and stuff?
Yeah, so that's how I got into the national team. So after the Nat Champs, everyone was like really welcoming. I got to meet a lot of the national athletes and also the people that work at the association. So everyone was really welcoming and really nice, and I just got welcomed into this community, I guess. So and then they just asked me, would you like to go for this race? So that was my first race, the WT the Asia Cup Kota Kinabalu in 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did that do? How did you do? Don't tell me you won it. Because
No, I didn't. Yeah. So I think WT racing is World Triathlon racing is very different to like the local races.
because anyone can, like, people from Australia can go up there and compete,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. So it's called Asia Cup, but actually anyone can go.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a
just
lot of,
it's held in Asia. That's why it's called an Asia Cup.
It's held in
not,
Asia.
It's not just for Asians, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So the level of triathlon is a lot higher than locally. Not just that, but the overall like participant is a lot more as well. So I think that race there's like 40 something on the start line.
Yeah.
Which going to the open water swim again is very hectic.
Yeah,
and
it
it
is.
was quite a culture shock for me.
And
So
suddenly everyone is at your level, right? Or
Right.
at least, right? So
yeah,
you're not coming out of you don't have clean water because it's like a washing machine.
yeah.
Right.
So actually, it's the complete opposite of that. I think I remember going straight into the water and just completely got dunked, and
Yeah.
I think I came out the water like almost at the very end. Yeah, it was
Probably got kicked in the face a few times. Bubbles fall
definitely,
off.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it's really
suddenly you come second to the net challenge and you're coming out of the water last. It's a big jump.
It's a big
Right.
jump. It's a very big jump. Yeah. So, but I think it was also a good experience because I think that really taught me. Well, first of all, that really showed me what WT racing and what the performance outside of Singapore is like. The level of playing field outside of Singapore is like.
Yep.
But second of all, I think that also served as a motivation for me to want to get better. And one day I wish I can, there's people in like the second pack, the first pack, that made me like really look up to them and really hope one day I can bike in their pack and race against them. Yeah.
Last year's T100 really opened my eyes to. So you always think of athletes as at a higher level. They must be like monks. They must be dead skinny and only eat broccoli for dinner, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Last year's PTO, like I met a few of them, and they're just like regular guys, but they're just really fast triathletes, right?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, you get to these events, these guys, they're standing next to you at the start line. They look like you. They probably was about the same size as you, but they're doing a little bit better, right? So then suddenly you realize, actually, I can probably do this too, right? If I train hard enough, or if I put my mind to it, you can get there, right? But
Yeah.
of course, your first race is just gonna be like a baptism of fire, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's I would say most people would agree with that for their first race.
Yeah.
Because when you go to your first race, you don't really know. Because if you race in Singapore, you pretty much know everyone.
Yeah.
And also, if you raced regionally for long enough, you'll know everyone as well.
You mean like the Filipinos and the Indonesians, the
Correct.
Thais,
All athletes.
Yeah.
But I think if you like as a first timer, you have no clue who they are.
Yeah.
So I think there's that sort of I guess you're just not really sure where you're at.
Yeah, totally.
Against them. So sometimes it can come as a culture shock.
Yeah.
So as soon as the swim starts, you just completely get pushed out, and that's kind of
Yeah, and even the big races, the strong swimmers, they come out of the water like 2 minutes ahead, but they might not win, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
that's their strength, but the weakness might be the bike, for example, right? And
Yes.
so it's really a chess game, and you just got to make sure that when you've crossed the finish line, you've used up all your energy, right?
Exactly. And I think that's also something I think is really interesting, and what makes triathlon different is the unpredictability. So I think when everyone gets on the start line, everyone has a fair chance to win. And just because you come from a swimming background or a cycling background or running background, doesn't necessarily put you in a like advantageous spot, I guess.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that being said, if you come off the bike next to someone else that's a cyclist and you know that you're a runner,
Oh yeah.
you probably do have a
for
bit of an advantage, right? But but just to get to that point is the hard part, right?
Yes.
So the first time I ever heard your name was this year's Net Champs, right? And I was asking one of the guys, because I know most of the triathletes as well, right? And I was asking, how'd the race go? And then they said, oh, did you hear what happened to Yi Jun? I'm like, who's that? And he goes, oh yeah, Yi Jun is the up and coming, like he's a really good runner, and he passed out during the transition. And that really resonated with me because I passed out during a half marathon last year, or the year before last year. So I totally understand what sort of you must have gone through. So what happened during that race?
Yeah. So that race, for Isaac,
So that was the one that there was an oil spill in Sentosa, so that you couldn't do the swim. So it was a triathlon, but they made it a giant duathlon, right?
Yeah, correct. So I think most of us was expecting a triathlon. We were training for a triathlon, but unfortunately, the oil spill So for the sake of our safety and health, so we had to do a duathlon, which is fine. But so I mean, I guess the race went pretty well for the first 5K. So it's a 5K run and then a bike and then a 2.5K run.
If I remember correctly, for every year the net champs, like a few of the Filipinos will come and a few of the Indonesians will come and the Malaysians will come and just do it because it's a big race, right?
Yes. Yep.
Did they particularly drive the pace really hard or something, or like what was your split for the first 5K?
Yeah, they did. So my first 5K split was 15:55.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how fast would you normally run a 5K?
Normally in a triathlon, I would do around like a low 16s.
Okay.
Yeah, low 16 minute. So so 15:55, I was quite pleased with my 5K split.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think I did exert during the race. I didn't really feel like I exerted that much.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the adrenaline or the excitement.
Yeah.
Or the competition.
Was there were you in the front pack of the run?
I was, yeah. So I think I came.
How many people were there in the front pack?
So it was 3 people: me, a Indonesian, and a Filipino.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we came in, and then as soon as I came out of T2, T1, I was just feeling like really, sort of like a bit shaken, and yeah, after that, it just kind of went downhill really quickly.
Was it because you were running so hard, and then you suddenly stopped, and it was sort of like, you get a bottle of water and you slosh it one way, and then all the water goes to one end, and then if you suddenly stop it, it will all just sort of splash, right? Is that what happened? Sort of what happened to you? Because you suddenly went to a stop, all the blood sort of went to a different part of the body, and that's how I imagine with what's going on for you.
Yeah, I think potentially that could be a cause. After the race, I did try to find out the cause for it, because obviously I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, right.
It's a really terrible thing to happen. So yeah, I did try to find out. That could be one of the reasons, because T1 you have to stop, you have to bend over,
exactly,
put your helmet on and stuff. But
so because you actually got your bike,
I did,
and you got a T1.
Yeah.
When you tried to mount the bike or something, you just sort of fell over. Right?
Yeah, so it was quite funny actually. Like I was coming out of T1. Usually we'll come out of T1 as soon as you get across the line, you'll hop on your bike.
Yeah.
So I crossed the line. I just couldn't hop on no matter how hard I tried, because I couldn't balance my bike well enough to
couldn't coordinate yourself.
Yeah, so I just lost my coordination, and I just felt really unbalanced and everything. So it was quite funny. And then eventually I tried really hard, because eventually I have to get on the bike.
Yeah.
So I got on anyways, and I don't even think I pedaled at all. I just fell over straight away. Yeah.
Does anyone have that video or is it anything like that?
No.
How do I do it?
Yeah.
So then you just and then were you aware of people passing you at that stage or?
Oh yeah, I was. So I fell, and then I guess my mind kind of went blank for a few seconds, a very quick second, and then I just gained consciousness again. Yeah, I can just see people going past me. Yeah. So I tried really hard to get back on actually, but I think they didn't allow me to race, because obviously
so the medics had already because it's right at the transition zone, the medics kind of got you already.
Yeah, so it was quite easy for them to get to me. And obviously for my safety and for my health, they didn't allow me to race, which I think it's the right thing to do anyways. Yeah.
If there's anything about me, it was the right thing to do, because I remember waking up not knowing where the heck I was and who I was or my phone number or anything, right? So
yeah.
And so then DNF, your first DNF, I guess.
I DNF. Yeah.
And then have you raced since then?
I did. Yeah. So I did a lot of races since then. Some really good races actually. So yeah.
So what have you done since that to stop? Do you do anything differently now to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I did, yeah. So one of the biggest thing I did after that race is I approached the nutritionist Olivia, who works at SSI.
SSI,
Yep. So ever since I worked with her, I think it's really comes down to nutrition. So I changed a lot of my race day nutrition plan.
Okay.
My hydration, my carb intake, my caffeine intake.
And you found that makes a lot of difference?
Yeah. So it did. Yeah. So I think nutrition really is a key sort of. It plays a huge part in triathlon. Yeah. I mean, not just racing, but training as well.
Especially. So you're doing sprint distance right now, right?
Yeah.
Olympic distance nutrition is important, but the 70.3, the Ironman, nutrition is ridiculously important, because if you're not eating on the bike, you're not going to finish the run, because you're just going to run out of energy, right?
Correct. Yeah. So in that sense, I think I guess that's why sprint distance is quite beginner friendly because you can kind of get away with
You can muscle through an hour,
nutrition.
and you can muscle through 1 hour of racing and
Yeah.
and not have to worry about nutrition so much, right?
Yeah. So actually, before I got into like my second or third WT race, I used to just do triathlons without any nutrition.
Yeah.
I mean, I got water in my bottle,
But
but
it's water. It's
Yeah.
not.
Apart from
It's not
water,
carbs, right?
yeah, correct. So I thought like, oh, I don't really need it.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make a difference. But honestly, it kind of does.
Well, that could have been the difference between your 24th place or whatever and your first WTO, because
Yeah.
they all had carbs in their bottles and they all had nutrition plans, right?
Possibly,
Yeah. So
yeah.
do you know how many grams of carbs you're eating every hour during training and during racing now?
Yeah, so not every hour. I'm not that strict, but I do pay attention during training and during race. So during training, I try to, if it's a hard session, I try to get 60 to 80. Usually that isn't an issue, especially if I'm doing cycling.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing swimming, maybe a bit less,
Yeah.
because it's a bit more difficult to
Yeah.
take in nutrition in a pool. But
So you just have it in the bottle at the end of the pool or something, and just,
I do, yeah. So same for cycling and same for swimming. So same for running as well. So my main nutrition card comes from a drink mix. So easily that's 60 grams and plus hydration.
And it's quite easy to measure these days. They
Yeah.
have it on the label, so you can just measure it into the right volume, and you know exactly how much you're getting.
Exactly.
It's not
So-
just like getting a handful of gummy bears and estimating it, right?
Yeah. So, well, actually, on that note, sometimes I do like, so on the like, if you buy packaging like gummies and stuff on the
Yeah.
packaging, sometimes I'll just count like how much carbs there are, and then
I know that Luke uses gummy bears at the side of the pool.
Yeah.
As his carbs as well.
Yeah. So I think actually gummy bears are a really good carb. It's really carb dense.
Yeah.
Which is good. Yeah.
Okay, and then so how much are you training? Like, you're still a student,
Yep.
right? And you're still going to be a student for a couple more years.
Yeah.
So, are you just putting in much training as you can around your current whatever lectures and tutorials and stuff at school?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing a full-time study.
Yeah.
So I try to, during school time, I try to get in 18 to 20 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, but since right now I'm not in school
Yeah.
because I'm on break, so about 20 to 23.
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
At the end of the week, or are you exhausted all the time? Like right now, you do fine, right?
Yeah. So, no, I guess, like, if you increase your volume, I guess it's really important to also pay attention to the other stuff. So
Yeah.
I pay a lot of attention to my sleep.
Yeah.
Try to get in at least 7, preferably 8, but at least 7 every day. Yeah.
Because if you're doing 20 hours, 20 hours a week, it's that you're doing something in the morning and something in the afternoon, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, so usually my classes start around 8:30 to 9:30.
Okay.
I'll do a morning session, then I'll do another session in the afternoon or evening.
Are you staying at a hall over at NTU right now? So
Yeah.
all your classes are quite close to where you're living.
Yeah. But a lot of my training are actually outside of school, so I do have to travel home quite often. So, for example, I swim with a swim club.
Okay.
So I do have to travel home for that.
Oh,
And
okay.
for cycling, obviously, I do have to bike out of school as well.
You can go up straight up Lim Chu Kang
Yeah.
to Crunchy, right?
Yeah. So actually last year, this year I stopped doing it, but last year, every Tuesday I'll go and join Mandai Loop, the Mandai Loop ride.
Yeah.
So the Mandai Loop is like 5:30 at Bukit Timah.
Yeah.
So I have to leave uni at 4:30 because it takes 1 hour to get.
So you've got a good 30 kilometers in your legs before you join the group ride, right?
Yeah, exactly. Then I do the group ride, then I get back, and I go to class. Yeah.
Okay. And then so what's your typical training week? Are you doing like swims Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, or how do you break it up? Is it the same every week, or is it different?
The program is roughly the same every week. Yeah. Okay. So for example, if I'm swimming 4 times a week, it will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay.
And then so the program is usually the same. Every day I do swim bike. Well, not every day swim bike run, but like how I organize the swim bike run is about the same every week.
Okay.
But obviously the intensity and the specific program changes.
Yep.
Yeah. So not every week I'll be doing, for example, 6x400s.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes I'll do I don't know, maybe like 5x1000.
Do you have
something
a
like that.
coach, or do you just do it yourself?
Yeah, I do have a coach. So my coach right now, I'm taking online program from this coach in Perth,
Okay.
Coach Stewart.
Okay.
Yeah, so he coaches in Perth.
I'm going to Perth next week. I can say hello to him.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, during summer, I did go to Perth.
Okay.
And I trained with his squad.
Oh, nice.
Eclipse. Yeah.
Is that the name of the squad, Eclipse?
Yeah. So I trained with Eclipse for a month, and then after I came back, I just continued taking program from him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But over here, I do sometimes also join tribal as well.
Okay.
So
So like track sessions or something like that?
Yeah, the track sessions or sometimes the group rides,
Oh, nice.
maybe long rides and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, there's a pretty good community here.
Yeah, there is.
and-
There's quite a few big
Yeah.
triathlon clubs now, which
Yeah.
is good because sometimes you just need someone else to hold you accountable, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Especially for the rides and the track sessions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so normally I ask what are your tips for new triathletes, but you're quite a new triathlete yourself.
Yeah.
Then let's just change the question. What are the lessons learned from your first few triathlons that you definitely wouldn't do now, or you learned was a big learning curve?
Okay. I think definitely if you're racing overseas, making sure that you prepare yourself really well, like way before what you think you need. Like, so for example, this is one time I think it was last year actually. I went to Japan for a race.
Yeah.
And then I think I packed my bike really last minute, like literally the night before.
Okay.
And it was an early flight the next day.
Yeah.
And I realized something was stuck. I can't remember what, but something was stuck, and I couldn't
Oh,
get
you
it
couldn't
out.
get it, like a seat
Yeah.
post or something. You couldn't get it out.
Yeah,
Get in.
and I actually snapped my wrench trying to get it out. So it was like 10 p.m. and like the bike shops are closed.
Yeah, panicking by then, right?
Yeah, and I couldn't get in my bike shop if I don't disassemble it. So I had to but luckily I had this friend and he recommended this person who's a mechanic and he can come to your house to like do it.
At 10, 11 night.
Yeah. So fortunately I got it done.
Yeah.
But I think that was a lesson learned.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Because like when you're traveling overseas for something like a race, right?
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of going into a submarine, right? You got to make sure that you got everything that you need before you leave, because you're not going to, once you've left, it's too late.
Exactly.
Right? So if you're in Japan, you can't get like the drink mix that you want, or you can't get the gels that you need, or the Allen key, that whatever, right? So
Exactly. And I think some people don't realize how much equipment that triathlon takes.
Yeah.
So for example, because I used to do swimming, if you go swimming, all you need to pack is the bare minimum is like goggles and
the trunk cap. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think some people don't realize how much equipment triathlon comes with.
Yep.
I mean, you have the bike, you have helmet, you have the shoes,
And you have the kit.
you have the kit, and then you have multiple kits because you have to ride multiple days.
Yeah. And then multiple shoes as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you have backups for everything as well. So running shoes, your race day shoe,
Yeah.
your travel kit, your
Heart rate monitors. All the
nutrition.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot of equipment, and I think if you do it really last minute, it's really easy, especially for beginners. It's really easy to forget things. And
Yeah, I'm a bit of a packer when it comes to this sort of thing, so I'm not a last minute person at all. Like if I'm leaving on a Sunday night, I probably would have a pack on a Friday night or a Saturday at the very least.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's good.
I just get too anxious or whatever. Right. Like these podcasts come out Monday morning. You'll never find me on a Sunday night editing the podcast because it's just too crazy. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So then here's a couple more questions. One is, suddenly you're 2 years ago, your life was completely different, right?
Yep.
You were in this, you weren't even running, you were just done some swimming, right?
Yeah.
And now you're doing 25 hours a week of training.
Yep.
What mind shift or what motivated you, or what motivates you to get up at 5 a.m. and go to these group rides or keep training at this really high level when it's actually quite new to you, right?
Yeah. I think at first, like during when I was in NS, because honestly, apart from training and the daily tasks that we have to do in NS, there wasn't too much other activities I could do. So I think having a purpose, having like, for example, I signed up for Metasprint, or the national champs is coming up. So having something to work towards too, that's something I really craved.
Yeah.
And that's something I really enjoy doing. But nowadays, I think I just really, now that I see like what I can achieve, and I feel like I have a lot more potential to improve on what I'm already doing. So now I'm just trying my hardest and see how far I can go with this sport. Hopefully I have a few goals in mind, and hopefully I can achieve those
So
in the near future.
because you show up to the net champs, you come second, right?
Yeah.
And it would be a travesty if you decide, okay, I'm not doing triathlon anymore.
Yeah.
You're quite new, you come second. So now suddenly you're on this level, the world has opened up, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess in your mind, you're trying to push this as hard as you can to see, push as far as you can make it, as far as you can go, right? Right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think me being like a pretty competitive person myself, I think that's also something I really like. I just wanna keep improving on my previous timings, on my previous results. So I think that's something. That's something that really motivates me.
Do you feel like you have a lot of improvements still to make? Let's just say for your so sprint is how far is the cycle in the sprint? Is it 40k or 20?
It's 20 for sprint distance, 22.
So how fast is your average speed for that?
I think most of the time, probably around
Like 38 or 36? Maybe
38, around there.
So do you feel like you can definitely with more training get pushed past 40 for a sprint, for example, and still be able to run 15 off the bike?
Yeah, definitely. I think for cycling specifically, I think for triathlon, it's since you run in a pack, the speed is really determined by your pack and how the pack works and how other riders ride as well.
Yeah.
So not solely based on you, but
of course.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's for all three events, swim, bike, and run.
Yeah.
I think I definitely got a lot of room for improvement.
Okay.
Especially open water swim. I think even though I swam for quite a few years before, I think this is like it feels like a completely new sport.
Oh, totally. I'm a swimmer. So I'm like you. I did swimming all through high school. That was my sport.
Yeah.
But even though I body surf and even though I spend a lot of time in the ocean, as in growing up in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Open water swimming for me still feels a bit funny because you're not in your element. There's no line. You can't see the bottom. There's fish. There's other things that are there that are faster and stronger than you, right? So it's a bit the unknown really messes with my mind a little bit. But
Exactly.
But I think the more you do it, you get over it, right?
I think true. So I think it's really an experience thing, and I think triathlon in general is a really experience thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the strategies, a lot of how you race against other people in a mass start and stuff like that.
In some of your races, do you try different tactics? Like I want to sit on the front and push the pace this race, and or do you are you still in the discovery phase of just trying to hang on?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, so not every race. The major races, the bigger races, I try to be a bit more conservative,
Of
I
course,
guess.
yeah.
But yeah, I do. So I think this year I tried to. Well, this year not this year, last year, 2024. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did race like a lot of races, so I signed up to a lot of races. Therefore, I have a lot of opportunities to basically summer like practice.
Yeah.
And so I tried like riding more aggressively.
Yeah.
I tried to like different swim strategies.
Yeah.
Maybe like not trying to swim behind someone, but swimming like next to someone, something like that. So definitely there's a lot to try out. Yeah.
So the big question is, next year is a SEA Games year. The qualifying window is opened.
Yes.
Are you trying to qualify for December, Thailand?
Yeah, definitely. So that's one of my goals. I've never been to a major game, so I think if I do qualify for SEA Games this year, that will be my first major game, and it will be a really great experience.
There is the race coming up in March or something, right? For the qualify for the SEA Games, right?
Yep.
So you try to qualify as a triathlete or a duathlete?
I think I'll mainly focus on triathlon.
Okay.
Yeah. So mainly I'll try to focus on triathlon. There's a couple of events this year. There's the individual.
Yeah. There's a bunch of relays. Right?
Yeah. So there's actually two types of relays. There's like a 3-man relay.
Yeah.
And the usual mixed relay.
Yep.
Yep.
And there's no. So you're 22, right?
Yep.
But SEA Games is everybody. There's no U23.
There's no age. Yeah.
And there's no age group. So you're being the other 40-year-old man, maybe even, right?
Yeah.
If it was strong enough, right? So then December triathlon, the SEA Games would be. Let's just hypothetically speaking, you make the team.
Yep.
You finish your school term in June.
Yep.
You're just going to continue school and train like gangbusters and just take some time off in December to do it, or are you going to like take a gap year? What's your plan?
I think right now I'm definitely still sitting on a plan of going to school as usual.
Yep.
But obviously, if I do qualify, obviously for the second half of the year or second half of the season, I'm going to focus a lot more on my training.
Is it possible that are you in a degree where you can sort of do some minimal amount of subjects for one semester and then just like double up on subjects the next semester or something just to make it easier to train?
Yeah, so I guess it is technically it is possible. You can underload and overload on your points. That's not really the usual route. And personally, I also can't really. I have to complete my course in 4 years as well because I'm on scholarship as well.
Okay.
So I do have to complete my course in 4 years. So I do have to complete my course as planned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just cross that first bridge first, get into the team, and then you can sort of work out what you want to do, right?
Yeah, but definitely I will be focusing. In fact, like right now I am trying to focus more and more on triathlon. Yeah. So
and then let's just say we finish 2025. What's next for you in the next few years? Are you going to keep focusing on national teams, Asia Cups, SEA Games, maybe even LA Olympics or something?
Yeah, so I mean, SEA Games, my first major games. I think my next one, big goal is to qualify for Asian Games. I think that's something I really want to experience and really want to race in.
So what do you need to do to qualify for Asian Games?
So
because Asian Games is like all of Asia, right? So China, Japan, Korea, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, all of Asia is at the Asian Games, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I think for Asian Games, it comes down. So I think if I'm not wrong, Asian Game is all Olympic distance. So one is it comes down to your Olympic distance timing. There's like a certain, obviously you have to be at a certain level to compete. And then the other one will be your WT ranking. Which is I think the same as Olympic as well. So Olympic is also based on your WT ranking. But but Olympic is obviously just a higher criteria.
Yeah. I remember talking to Luke about Olympics, and you got to be basically in the top 100 triathletes in the world to have a chance, right?
Yeah, to have a chance, not guaranteed.
You're not even guaranteed. If you're top 50, maybe you're guaranteed, but top 100, you might have a chance.
Yeah, so I think within Asia to go to Olympics, you'll have to be at least top 3, top 2 around there to have a chance. Yeah. So it's quite difficult, but I mean, who knows? Maybe in a few years, that would be something.
Oh, come on, you've only been doing it for 2 years, right? You don't know. You don't know if this is your 50% mark, you're 80%. You don't know where you are in. So you could like just dominate, and who knows? Like in another 2 years, where you'll be, right?
Yeah. But I like to focus on like smaller goals.
Yeah, of course.
Smaller steps. So yeah, definitely this year looking at SEA Games first. Yep.
Okay. Yi Jun, my last question is, how do people get a hold of you? Would it be Instagram yijun.tey? Would that be the best way?
Yeah.
If you want to follow you or to find out more about your journey?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So my Instagram is public. Yeah. And then my handle is yijun.tey. So I post all my training, all my races, everything up there.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in. It was great to talk to you. I really look forward to seeing what the next 2 years, and good luck for SEA Games this year, okay?
Thank you so much. Yep. Thank you.